Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, January 15th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap last night's NHL games and look ahead to tonight and the weekend's games. NBA, same thing. College basketball, same thing. I'll do my NFL divisional round picks and some big news in both the NFL in terms of coaching and a big name player re-signs with his respective team and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start in the National Hockey League where we had 10 games on the docket last night. We'll go over all of them and we'll look ahead to tonight's games. Alrighty, Islanders over the Rangers 4-0. An impressive win for the Isles. 1-0, Rangers 0-1-0. Number one star of the game with 24 saves on 24 shots, Semyon Varlamov. Number two started game with 2 goals, Anders Lee. Number three started game with a goal, Matt Barzal. Capitals over the Sabres 6-4. Capitals 1-0, Buffalo 0-1-0. Number three started game with 2 assists, Alex Ovechkin. Number two started game with a goal and assist, Nicholas Backstrom. And the number one star of the game with a goal and 2 assists, TJ Oshie. Bruins over the Devils 3-2 in a shootout. The Bruins are 1-0, Devils 0-1. Number three started game with a goal, Ty Smith. Number two started game with 35 saves on 37 shots, Mackenzie Blackwood. And the number one star of the game with a goal and assist, Brad Marchand. And he also got the shootout game winner as well. Hurricanes over the Red Wings 3-0. Carolina 1-0, Detroit 0-1-0. Number three started the game with 14 saves on 14 shots, Peter Mrazek against his former team. Number two started the game with 40 saves on 43 shots, Thomas Greiss. And the number one star of the game with the goal, Nito Niederreiter. Predators over the Blue Jackets 3-1. Almost said the Blackhawks. Nashville 1-0, Columbus 0-1-0. Number three started the game with 29 saves on 30 shots, Juuse Saros. Number two started the game with the goal, Luke Kunin. And the number one started the game with the goal, Philip Forsberg. Jets over the Flames 4-3 in overtime on a goal by Patrick Laine. The Jets are 1-0, Calgary 0-1. Number three started the game with the goal and assist, Elias Lindholm. Number two started the game with the goal, Mark Sheffley. And the number one started the game with the goal, 2 goals and an assist, Patrick Laine. Oilers over the Canucks 5-2. The Oilers 1-1-0, Vancouver 1-1-0. Number three started the game with 2 goals and an assist, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Number two started the game with 4 assists, Leon Draisaitl. And the number one started the game with a hat trick and an assist, the best player in hockey, Connor McDavid. Sharks over the Coyotes 4-3 in a shootout. San Jose 1-0, Arizona 0-1. Number three started the game with a goal and assist, Connor Garland. Number two started the game with a goal and 2 assists, Evander Kane. And the number one started the game with 2 goals and an assist, Thomas Hertl. As Martin Jones stopped Clayton Keller in the shootout. And Phil Kessel scored the tying goal with 3.2 seconds of regulation, but San Jose wound up finding a way to win in the shootout. Golden Knights over the Ducks 5-2. Vegas 1-0, Ducks 0-1-0. Number three started the game with an assist, Alex Pietrangelo. Number two started the game with a goal, Max Pacioretty. Number one started the game with a goal and assist, Mark Stone. Wild over the Kings 4-3 in overtime on the winner by rookie Kirill Kaprizov. Minnesota 1-0, LA 0-1. Number three started the game with the goal, Dustin Brown. Number two started the game with the goal, Jonas Brodin. And the number one started the game with a goal and 2 assists, including the overtime winner, Kirill Kaprizov. And obviously, Stars-Panthers postponed due to the Stars' COVID issues. The Stars will be back in action on January 19th. 5 games tonight. 7 o'clock, Capitals Sabres. Penguins Flyers, Blackhawks Lightning, Maple Leaf Senators, and 9 o'clock Blues Avalanche. Stars Panthers postponed. Going through the odds real quick. Blackhawks Lightning minus 290, over under 6.5. And the puck line is even at minus 110, which is crazy. I'm gonna take the over. I think Chicago's offense will be a little bit better, but ultimately Malcolm Subban's not the answer. Flyers are minus 120. Pens are even. Over under 6.5 overs plus 100. Unders minus 120. Flyers puck line minus 1.5 is plus 230. Pens puck line plus 1.5 is minus 280. I'm going to take the over here. I think that this has potential to be a shootout again. I think the Penguins offense will be a little bit better, so I'm going to take the over 6.5 at even money. Although over in Penguins parlay would be interesting. Maple Leafs Senators, the Maple Leafs are minus 220, Sens are plus 125, or plus 175, my bad. Over under 6.5 overs, minus 130, unders plus 110. Maple Leafs puck line, minus 1.5 is plus 120, and in the Senators, plus 1.5 is minus 140. I'm going to take, again, the over. I think that both teams have potentially mediocre goaltending, so I'm going to go over 6.5. Capital Sabres, Caps are minus 140, Buffalo's plus 120, over under 6.5. The over is plus 105, the under is minus 125. Caps are minus 1.5 at plus 190, and in Buffalo, plus 1.5 is minus 230. I'm going to go again over. That's 4 overs. Again, I just don't like Buffalo's goaltending, and I think that the Capitals could potentially do this by themselves. And then the Blues and the Avalanche. Avs minus 160, Blues plus 135, over under 5.5 overs, minus 135, unders plus 115. Avs puck line minus 1.5 is plus 175, and then Blues puck line plus 1.5 is minus 210. This was under last time. I think it could be under again. I'm going to say this is a 3-2 game. I think that Colorado will play better than they did. I think their defense will show up, and I think that Jordan Binghamton will be good as well. So I'm going to go under 5.5. So all totals for hockey tonight in terms of picks. Now look ahead to the weekend's games. Saturday we got Islanders, Rangers, Bruins, Devils, Sharks, Coyotes, Hurricanes, Red Wings, Maple Leafs, Senators, Canadiens, Oilers, Blue Jackets, Predators, Wild, Kings, Canucks, Flames, Ducks, Golden Knights, and Bruins, Devils is at 1, Sharks, Coyotes at 4, Isles, Rangers, Hurricanes, Red Wings, Maple Leafs, Senators, Canadiens, Oilers at 7, 8 o'clock Blue Jackets, Predators, 9 o'clock Wild, Kings, Canucks, Flames, and Ducks, Golden Knights at 10. And then Sunday, 12 o'clock NBC, Capitals, Penguins. I expect Pittsburgh to bounce back here a little bit and win at home. And then the Blackhawks at the Panthers at 7 o'clock. So Joel Quenneville against his former team. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We will look back on last night's games and look ahead to it. I expect to be a interesting night in the association. 76ers over the Heat, 125-108. The 76ers, 9-4, Miami 4-6. Shake Milton at 31 to lead Philly. Duncan Robinson at 22 to lead Miami. Raptors over the Hornets, 111-108. So best bet comes through. Toronto's 3-8, Charlotte's 3-7. Chris Boucher, 25 points to lead the Raptors, as well as 10 rebounds. And Terry Rozier, 22 points for the shooting guard of Charlotte. Rockets, first game without James Harden, get a 109-105 win over the Spurs, who improved to 4-6. San Antonio 6-6. Christian Wood had a great game, 27 points, 15 boards. And Keldon Johnson had 29 to lead the Spurs. Nuggets over the Warriors, 114-104. Nuggets 6-6, Golden State 6-6. Nikola Jokic, 23 points, 14 boards, and 10 assists, so a triple-double for him. And Stephen Curry with 35 points and 11 rebounds. But ultimately, they cannot get the win. Impressive win for the Pacers, 111-87 over the Portland Trailblazers. Indy's 8-4, Portland 7-5. Malcolm Brogdon, 25 points to lead the way for Indy. And Damian Lillard, 22 points and 4 assists for Portland. Tonight's slate is a lot busier, to say the least. First up, you have the Magic at the Celtics. My projection is Orlando by 1, total 220.5, and that is obviously projecting without Jason Tatum and potentially Jaylen Brown. But Jaylen Brown's out, this line has to go potentially haywire. But nothing's up yet, and I do expect Orlando to go out there and potentially win. That's a 7:30 game. Knicks Cavaliers, my projection is Knicks by a half, total 205. Meanwhile, it's Cleveland. Oh, I'm sorry, Knicks by 2.5. We don't have a total yet. I'm taking the Cavaliers. The Knicks have lost 4 in a row and look like a fraud 5-3 team that was maybe from a week ago or so. So give me the Cavaliers plus 2.5. Plus 116 straight up is interesting as well. Surprised New York's actually favored here, although I have New York projected as a slight favorite, but I thought for sure they'd have Cleveland as a favorite. ESPN tonight, Mavericks Bucks, so Luka and Porzingis against Giannis and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton. My projections, Milwaukee 1.5 total 222. Meanwhile, it is Milwaukee 6.5 total 228. So I have a 5-point edge on the Mavs and a 6-point edge on the under. I'm going to take under 228. I think that this will be a lower scoring game than that. Maybe like 110 to 106 Bucks or something like that, and that to be qualifies as an under. So give me under 228. 8 o'clock, Bulls Thunder. My projection is Bulls by a half, total 226. Meanwhile, it's Thunder by 1. We don't have a total yet. So I do have a 2.5-point edge on the Bulls, so I'm going to take the Bulls plus 1 and minus 108 straight up. 9 o'clock, the Hawks at the Jazz. Oh, no, we skipped one. I'm sorry. Grizzlies Timberwolves. My projection is Memphis by 4.5. Total 221. And obviously I have Memphis projected as a favorite because it looks like John Morant will be back today. Minnesota's favorite by 2, total 224. I'm taking Memphis plus 2 and plus 110 straight up. John Morant's the best player on the court in this game, so give me, or potentially the best player on the court. That obviously could very well be Karl Anthony Towns. So give me Memphis plus the 2 and plus. Now look ahead to the weekend's games. 5 o'clock NBA TV, Rockets Spurs. 6 o'clock Magic Nets. 7:30 NBA TV, Hornets Raptors. 8 o'clock Pistons Heat. 76ers Grizzlies. Pacers Suns postponed because of COVID issues. And then 10 o'clock the Hawks at the Trailblazers. Sunday, 1 o'clock NBA TV, Knicks Celtics. 2 o'clock Cavs Wizards. 3 o'clock Bulls Mavericks. 7 o'clock Thunder hosting 76ers. That's on NBA TV. 8 o'clock Jazz Nuggets. 9 o'clock Pelicans Kings. And then 10 o'clock NBA TV. You got the Pacers at the Clippers. Now we'll look ahead to college basketball for the weekend. And first we'll look back on last night's games. Temple over UCF, 62-55. Colorado over Cal, 89-60. UNC Asheville over Charleston Southern, 92-54. Utah over Stanford, 79-65. UCLA over Washington State, 91-61. Pacific over Santa Clara, 79-58. Hampton over SC Upstate, 69-68. Eastern Michigan over Calvin, 67-56. Purdue over Indiana, 81-69. Mount St. Mary's over Merrimack, 77-57. St. Fran, Pennsylvania over Bryant, 89-82. Sacramento over Central Con State, 65-48. Long Island over Wagner, 77-66. Belmont over Tennessee Tech, 88-67. Winthrop over Longwood, 72-61. Campbell over Presbyterian, 48-46. UNC Greensboro over Sanford, 87-63. Montana over Northern Arizona, 67-56. FA over FIU, 81-79. San Fran over Portland, 79-63. Montana State over Portland State, 71-64. Jacksonville State over Tennessee State, 65-64. Number 1 Gonzaga over Pepperdine, 95-70. Utah State over San Diego State, 57-45. Morris State over Eastern Illinois, 87-61. Northern Colorado over Idaho, 74-54. Eastern Washington over Southern Utah, 75-63. USC over Washington, 95-68. Colorado State over San Jose State, 90-57. Arizona over Oregon State, 98-64. And BYU over St. Mary's, 60-52. All right, today's games, 12 o'clock Wingate, Maryland. We can skip that. 1 o'clock, you have Hofstra and Delaware. My projection for this game is Hofstra by 5.5. And the line is Hofstra 3.5, total 137.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 with Hofstra at minus 120. 2 o'clock, Oral Roberts against Denver. Oral Roberts, I project as a 9-point favorite. Oral Roberts is favored by 10.5. Total is 154.5, and I'm going to take the over. Sunbelt's normally go over, so I'm going over 154.5 between Oral Roberts and Denver. Charleston Southern UNC Asheville. My projection's Asheville 13, and it's 13.5. Total's 141.5. I'm going to take the over 141.5 at minus 108. 3 o'clock, Old Dominion Rice. My projection's Old Dominion 7.5, and it's 3.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 at Old Dominion at minus 102. Bryant, St. Francis, Pennsylvania. My projection is St. Fran, PA by 3. And I don't have a lineup here yet. And you would think Bryant would play a little better, but I do think St. Fran, PA should win the game. Mary Mac, Mount St. Mary's. My line is Mount St. Mary's 5. And I don't see a line yet. I'd expect Mount St. Mary's to win again. Niagara, Manhattan. My projection is Niagara 11. It's Niagara 2.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 at Niagara at minus 206. 5 o'clock, Quinnipiac, Monmouth. My projection is Monmouth 9, and it's 9.5. I don't see a total anywhere yet, but I do expect Monmouth to win. Fairfield, Marist. My projection is Marist 1, and it's Marist 5.5. I'm going to take Fairfield plus the 5.5 at minus 104. I do expect Marist to win. Marshall, Western Kentucky on CBS Sports Network. My projection is Western by 2, and it's Western 3.5. I'm going to take the over 150.5 at minus 110. In that game, CBS Sports Network. On ESPNU at 5 o'clock, UAB Charlotte. My projection here is UAB 5, and it's UAB 1.5. I'm going to lay the 1.5 at UAB. 6 o'clock, IUPUI in Northern Kentucky. My projection is Northern Kentucky by 10.5, and then it's 8.5. And I'm going to take Northern Kentucky minus 8.5 at minus 106. Longwood and Winthrop. My projection's Winthrop 26. And I don't see a line yet. But I do expect Winthrop to win. Hampton, South Carolina, Upstate. My projection is Upstate 3.5. And it is Upstate 4.5. Total's 144.5. I'm going to take the over at minus 105. Gardner-Webb, Radford. My projection is Gardner-Webb by 9.5. And I don't see a line yet for that game. North Alabama, Kennesaw State. My projection is North Alabama by 11. And it's 3.5. I'm going to lay the 3.5 at North Alabama at minus 114. Troy, Georgia Southern. My projection is Georgia Southern by 1.5. And it's 6.5. I'm going to lay, I'm going to take Troy plus 6.5 at minus 118. 7 o'clock, ESPN 2, Duquesne and St. Bonaventure. My projection is St. Bonaventure by 6.5. And the Bonnies are giving 7.5. So 1 point off. Total is 133.5, and I'm going to take the under 133.5 at minus 105. LIU Wagner, my projection is LIU 5.5, and LIU, I don't see a line yet for this game. Siena Ryder, my projection is Siena 18.5, and at 6.5, I'm going to lay to 6.5 with Siena against Ryder. Purdue Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, my projection is Purdue Fort Wayne by 7.5. Meanwhile, Milwaukee is the team giving points. They're giving 4.5. I am going to take Purdue Fort Wayne plus the 4.5 at minus 120 and plus 158 straight up. Youngstown State, Oakland. My projection is Youngstown 15. And Oakland's favored by 1.5. I'm taking Youngstown plus the 1.5 and plus 108 straight up. Green Bay and Detroit, my projection is Detroit by 3. And Detroit's favored by 2.5. Total's 147.5. I'm going to take the over 147.5. Cleveland State, Wright State, my projection here is Wright State 3.5. And Wright State. I'm trying to find this line. 9.5. I'm taking Cleveland State plus the 9.5. And plus 420 straight up's enticing too, but I just think that they'll cover but not win. Next up, Presbyterian Campbell. My projection here is Campbell 11. And I cannot find a line for this game. I do expect Campbell to win. Liberty Stetson. My projection here is Liberty 7. Liberty's giving 8.5. I have to go to the total, 132.5. I'm going to take, I don't feel good about it, but I'm going to take over 132.5 between Liberty and Stetson. Bellarmine and Florida Gulf Coast. My projection is Gulf Coast by 9. Gulf Coast is favored by 4.5. I'm going to lay to 4.5 with Gulf Coast against Bellarmine. UL Monroe, Arkansas State. My projection is Arkansas State by 1.5. Arkansas State's favored by 2.5. Total is 136.5. I'm going to take the over at minus 105. App State, South Alabama. My projection is App State by 5. And App State is getting 2.5. So give me App State plus the 2.5 and plus 122 straight up. Louisiana and Texas Arlington. My projection for this game is Texas Arlington by 1.5. And Texas Arlington's giving 3.5. So give me Louisiana plus the 3.5. Did not think that would be a play, but here we are. Bowling Green Buffalo. I project this as a pick'em. And this is 4.5. That game's on CBS Sports Network. So give me Bowling Green plus 4.5, plus 168 straight up's enticing too, but I'm just going to be smart and take the points. UC Riverside and Cal Poly. My projection is Riverside 8.5. And Riverside's favored by 9.5. Total's 127.5. I'm going to take the under 127.5, but I don't feel good about it. Next up is Cal State, Northridge, and Long Beach State. My projection is Northridge by 0.5. And Northridge is favored by 1.5. Total's 156.5. I'm going to take the under 156.5 at minus 108. That's a high total, I think. Texas State and Little Rock. My projection is Little Rock by 0.5. And Little Rock's favored by 5.5. I'm going to take Texas State plus 5.5 to cover but not win. And obviously now we're in the 7:30 window with Texas State, Little Rock, and now UTSA, Louisiana Tech. My projection is Tech by 6, and Tech's giving 9.5. So I'm taking UTSA plus the 9.5 to cover. 8 o'clock, North Florida, Lipscomb. My projection is Lipscomb 9.5. And Lipscomb's favored by 6.5. So give me Lipscomb minus 6.5 at minus 108. Next up, you got UMKC in Western Illinois. My projection is UMKC by 5.5. And I do not see a line for this game. Robert Morris and UIC. My projection is UIC by 5. And they're favored by 3.5. I'm going to take the over 141.5 between Robert Morris and UIC. Middle Tennessee and Southern Miss. My projection is Middle Tennessee by 3.5, and it's Middle Tennessee by 1.5. I'm going to lay to 1.5 at even money. UTEP, North Texas. My line is North Texas 9.5. North Texas is favored by 5.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with North Texas against UTEP. Dixie State and Texas Rio Grande. My projection here is Rio Grande by 10. And Rio Grande's favored by 6.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 at -114. South Dakota State against Omaha canceled. 8:30 North Dakota State, North Dakota. My projection here is North Dakota State by 10.5. And they're favored by 5.5. I'm going to lay the 5.5 with North Dakota State at -105. 9 o'clock, Wisconsin at Rutgers. Number 9, Wisconsin, I project as an 8-point favorite. And they're only favored by 3. I'm going to lay the 3 with Wisconsin. Rutgers is kind of falling off the map a little bit here. So I'm going to lay the 3 with Wisconsin in a bounce-back spot. Vestetta, Grand Canyon, we can skip. Utah Valley, Seattle. My projection here is Utah Valley by 1. And Utah Valley is a 1.5-point underdog. I'm going to take Utah Valley plus 1.5 at -104 and plus 114 straight up against Seattle. Tarleton, Cal Baptist. My projection's Baptist by 6.5. And they're favored by 5.5. Totals 143.5. And I'm going to take the over at -114. Fresno State, Nevada. My projection's Nevada by 1. It's Nevada by 6.5. I'm taking Fresno plus the points. And last but not least, at midnight, and by the way, Fresno, Nevada's on Fox Sports 1. And at midnight Eastern, Cal State, Bakersfield, Hawaii. My projection is Bakersfield by 6. And Bakersfield is a 1.5-point underdog. I'm taking Bakersfield plus the 1.5 and -115 and plus 100 straight up. And now the weekend games. 12 o'clock, number 21, Ohio State at number 14, Illinois. That should be a good game. I would expect Illinois to win at home. Fox Sports 1, Marquette, St. John's. Marquette's falling off the map a little bit, but I expect them to bounce back here. Syracuse, Pitt. Pitt's been a pleasant surprise this year, but I think Syracuse has better talent, so I think they should win. UNC, Florida State, I am taking the Seminoles at home. American and Navy. ESPN2, Georgia, Ole Miss. I think Georgia at home. 1 o'clock, SEC Network. Number 17, Missouri and Texas A&M. I think Missouri wins that on the road. Temple, Tulane. Tulane's been a pleasant surprise this year, but I think Temple will probably take this one. CBS, San Diego State, Utah State. So a good Mountain West game on national TV on CBS. Good opportunity for that conference. I'm going to say Utah State at home. VCU, Richmond. I'm going to take Richmond. That game's on CBS Sports Network. Holy Cross and Colgate. Army, Boston University. Hartford, UMBC. The Citadel, VMI. Northern Illinois, Ball State. Northeastern, Charleston. William Mary Drexel. Northern Arizona, Montana. 2 o'clock. Iowa State at number 6, Kansas. Kansas should win that game easily. Number 7, Michigan at number 23, Minnesota. This is the first big test for Michigan. Or not the first big test, but another big test, I should say. I'm going to say Minnesota gets them their first loss. Fox Sports 1, number 8, Creighton and Butler. I'm going to say Creighton on the road. Davidson, LaSalle. I expect Davidson to win that one. James Madison, Towson, Coppin State, Morgan State, Lehigh, Bucknell, Oral Roberts, Denver, ESPN, Kentucky, Auburn. You would have to think Kentucky, right? Coastal, Georgia State. You got New Hampshire, Stony Brook, UMass Lowell, Binghamton, Maine, Vermont, Old Dominion, Rice, Wofford, Chattanooga, Western Carolina, Mercer, Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan, Kent State, Ohio, Toledo, Akron. TCU number 13, West Virginia, postponed. West Virginia has COVID issues. Georgia Tech, NC State, postponed. Portland State, Montana State, 3 o'clock, UNC, Greensboro, and Stanford. Pac-12 Network, Stanford, Colorado. I'm going to say Colorado at home. Youngstown State, Oakland. Troy, Georgia Southern, Northern Colorado, Idaho, Southern Utah, Eastern Washington. CBS Sports Network, Xavier, Seton Hall. Word is that game has gotten postponed. But if this game were to play, Seton Hall at home. Seton Hall's been playing really well in conference play. 3:30 as well, Arkansas, Alabama. I'm going to say Bama at home. 4 o'clock, ESPN, number 2, Baylor at number 13, or 15, Texas Tech. I think Baylor all the way. Fox Sports 1, the Valparaiso DePaul. I don't get why this game's on Fox Sports 1, but it is. DePaul should win that game. Yellowstone, Weber State, Bethesda, Grand Canyon, Indiana State, Illinois State, Evansville, Bradley, Wyoming Air Force, I would say Wyoming on the road, Niagara, Manhattan, Southeast Louisiana, Abilene Christian, BC, Notre Dame, I expect Notre Dame at home, William, Maryland, Lafayette, ESPN2, Florida, Mississippi State, I expect the Gators on the road, North Alabama, Kennesaw State, UAB, Charlotte, UTEP, North Texas, FIU, FAU, East Tennessee State, Furman, 4:30, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Moore State, Southeast Missouri State at 5 o'clock, Norfolk State, Delaware State, Washington State, UCLA to the Pac-12 network. I would expect UCLA to crush them. Quinnipiac, Monmouth, Fairfield, Marist, George Mason, Rhode Island, NBCSN. I'm going to say that Rhode Island at home should win. Murray State, Tennessee, Martin, Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Illinois, Belmont, Jacksonville State, Liberty, Stetson, Nichols, Central Arkansas, UL Monroe, Arkansas State, Texas State, Little Rock, App State, South Alabama, Louisiana, UT Arlington, NJIT, Albany, Middle Tennessee, Southern Miss, Loyola, Marymount Pacific, 5:30 CBS Sports Network, UNLV hosts New Mexico. I'm going to say New Mexico can win that game, but UNLV will probably be favored. A&M, Corpus Christi, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, 6 o'clock. Vandy at number 10, Tennessee. Tennessee should cruise. Sneaky good game on ESPN Saturday night, or Saturday evening, I should say. Number 18, Virginia at number 12, Clemson. I'm going to say that Virginia gets it done on the road. That's a big game. Northern Iowa, Loyola, Chicago. Loyola, Chicago should cruise. Colorado State, San Jose State. Colorado State should cruise. IUPUI, Northern Kentucky, Robert Morris, UIC. Green Bay, Detroit Mercy, Jacksonville State, Prairie View, 6:30 Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State, 7 o'clock Arizona State, Oregon State. I expect Arizona State on the road, Santa Ryder, McNeese, New Orleans, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, Cleveland State, Wright State, Bellarmine, Florida Gulf Coast, UTSA, Louisiana Tech, Dixie State, Texas Rio Grande, Portland, Pepperdine, UC Riverside, Cal Poly, Cal State, Northridge, Long Beach State, 7:30 Stephen F. Austin and Carter Word. 8 o'clock on the Longhorn Network, Kansas State. Number 4, Texas. Texas should cruise. Number 16, Louisville, Miami. Louisville should win easily. North Florida, Lipscomb, BYU, San Francisco. Sneaky good game on ESPN2 at 8 o'clock Saturday night. I think BYU will follow up their win at St. Mary's and win this one on the road. UMKC, Western Illinois, South Dakota State, Omaha. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I'm going to say Oklahoma State at home. San Diego, Santa Barbara, North Dakota State, North Dakota at 8:30. South Carolina, LSU. LSU should win that easily. Grambling, Texas Southern, 9 o'clock, Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech. Utah Valley, Seattle. Tarleton State, Cal Baptist. 9:30, Washington State, USC. Sneaky good game in the Pac-12. I think the Trojans should win at home. 10 o'clock, you have number 1 Gonzaga at St. Mary's. Stunningly, this game is not on TV. I think Gonzaga is going to cruise. ESPNU, Cal, Utah. I think Gonzaga St. Mary should be on TV instead of Cal Utah, quite frankly. Utah should win that one. Arizona, number 22, Oregon, postponed, unfortunately. And at midnight, Saturday night, Cal State, Bakersfield, and Hawaii. Sunday, 12 o'clock, American Navy, UMass Lowell, Binghamton. 12 o'clock, CBS, number 5, Iowa, Northeastern. Great game before the NFL playoff game. I'm going to say Iowa on the road. 1 o'clock, Penn State, Purdue. I'm going to say Purdue at home. Holy Cross, Colgate, American BU, Maine, Vermont, Hartford, UMBC, Hofstra, Delaware, Northeastern, Charleston, William & Mary, Drexel. 2 o'clock, ESPNU, UCF at number 11, Houston. I'm going to say Houston at home. Coppin State, Morgan State, New Hampshire, Stony Brook, Western Kentucky, Marshall, Alon, James Madison, Dayton, George Washington. Dayton should win that easily. Memphis, Tulsa at 3 o'clock. I'm going to say Tulsa at home. Don't feel good about it. NJIT, Albany. 4 o'clock, Sacramento State, Idaho State. Indiana State, Illinois State. Evansville, Bradley. Fresno, Nevada. I'm going to say Nevada. St. Peter's, Iona. Bucknell, Lehigh. 4:30, UMass Fordham on NBCSN. UMass should win. 5 o'clock, Norfolk State, Delaware State. ESPN sneaky good game on Sunday evening. Northern Iowa, Loyola Chicago. I'm going to say Loyola Chicago should win that easily. 6 o'clock. ACC Network, number 20, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest. Virginia Tech should win that easily. CBS Sports Network, Lafayette and Loyola, Maryland. Loyola, Maryland, their first game of the year. And then Lafayette should win. And then 9 o'clock, you have Tarleton and Weber State. So there you have it, college basketball for the weekend. And now, NFL picks for divisional round weekend. This is going to be a lot of fun. 4 very interesting games. 4:30 on Fox. Rams, Packers. My projection, Rams, a 9.5-point underdog. Total, 47. And the line is Green Bay by 6.5. Total, 45.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 with the Packers at -114. I just think the Packers are way better than the Rams. I think the Rams are fraudulent. Jared Goff still not 100%. They looked really good in Seattle last week. I think this is an overreaction line. So I'm going to lay the 6.5 with the Packers, and I would tease this as well with another game, which I'm going to say later. The best game of the bunch, Ravens, Bills. My projection, Bills 6.5, total 49.5. It's Bills 2.5 in the total 49.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Bills at -115. I think the Bills are better than the Ravens. Josh Allen's been better than Lamar Jackson this year. Yeah, the Ravens look like the hot at the right time team, but I need to see it. I still think Tennessee was a little fraudulent this year because of their defense, but give me the Bills -2.5. This team's for real, and they're going to get their signature playoff win. So give me the Bills -2.5 at -115. Sunday, 3 o'clock, CBS. Browns, Chiefs, my line, Chiefs 10, total 51.5. Chiefs 10, total 57. I'm taking the under. I think that this has blowout potential with the Chiefs. So give me under 57. And 6:40 on Fox, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Aaron Andrews and Christina Pink on the call. Bucks, Saints, my projection is Saints 3.5, total 51.5. While Saints 3, total 52. So 0.5 point off on the total and 0.5 point off on the line. I feel better about the under than I do with the Saints. I think the Bucks have a good shot to win this game outright. So give me under 52. But in terms of score predictions, I'm going to say the Packers blow out the Rams. And Aaron Donald not 100% either. So I'm going to say 31-16 Packers. The Bills, I'm going to say, win a fantastic 27-23 game over the Ravens. I think the Chiefs will win big. I'm going to say they win something like 37-20. Or let's go 34-20 so the under can hit. And then I'm going to say that the Bucks win outright, +142, and I'm going to say the Bucks come out on top against Drew Brees and the Saints by a score of 26-23, as Tom Brady will be in the NFC Championship game for the first time of his career. So, the picks, again, the betting picks. Packers -6.5, Bills -2.5. Browns, Chiefs under 57, and Bucks, Saints under 52. Straight up, Packers, Bills, Chiefs, Bucks. Alrighty, a couple things I want to discuss before Best Bet. Some NFL coaching news. The Jacksonville Jaguars have hired Urban Meyer to be their next head coach. This is an inspiring hire by the Jags. I touched on it yesterday as they were finalizing the deal. So, Urban Meyer goes into an enticing situation with the number 1 overall pick, and all likelihood Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson, and a ton of cap space. But there's a lot of work to be done. That's all I got to say. I talked about this yesterday. They have some nice pieces. James Robinson, not Robertson. They have Laviska Shenault. They have, on the defensive side of the ball, K'Lavon Chason, C.J. Henderson, Josh Allen, Joe Schobert. So they have some nice pieces to build around. And then, obviously, Trevor Lawrence. I expect the Jaguars to be big spenders in free agency. I think free agents want to go there. Now that they have the number 1 pick and Urban Meyer, they're going to be the hot destination. So the Jacksonville Jaguars finally pull off this great hire, in my opinion. The Jets had a nice hire. Robert Saleh is going to be their new head coach, replacing Adam Gase, who is a joke. Great hire by the Jets. Obviously, Saleh was a defensive coordinator that helped lead the team in the 49ers last year to the Super Bowl, helping develop guys like Nick Bosa, and Richard Sherman was there. And he got that defense to play hard a lot. And I think that he's going to bring some physicality and a different look to this Jets organization. It's going to be interesting to see what the Jets do in the offseason. They have the number 2 pick. Do they go Justin Fields? Or do they go pull a Giants and take the explosive offensive weapon in Devontae Smith, except the Giants' case was Saquon Barkley back in 2018. So they're in a similar situation as the New York Giants were 3 years ago. The Giants went with the sexy running back and kept their aging quarterback, and could the Jets go with the sexy wide receiver and keep their incumbent young quarterback that hasn't really developed yet in Sam Darnold? I do think Darnold has potential, but meanwhile in the Giants' case, they had a washed-up quarterback rather than a young quarterback with a lot of potential that was just put in a bad situation. But other than Sam Darnold, the Jets really don't have that much of enticing young pieces. Quinnen Williams has been a disappointment. They really don't have any amazing offensive players, although Denzel Mims showed promise for the Jets at wide receiver. And then they obviously traded away Jamal Adams, so they have an extra first-round pick courtesy of the Seahawks. And they have a good pick now that the Seahawks lost in the wild card round to the Rams. So Saleh's in a good spot with 2 first-round picks. Maybe they go quarterback with 1 and wide receiver with the other. So they have some really interesting options. Or do they keep Sam Darnold and go defense with 1 and go offense with the other? So there is a lot of opportunities in Pandora's box for the New York Jets as they pull off what I think is another inspiring hire. And then the Falcons, meanwhile, have been talking to Arthur Smith of the Titans. And that's the offensive coordinator. They offered the job to him. Will he take it? I think it would be a nice hire for Atlanta, a good offensive coach who really has gotten a lot out of Ryan Tannehill. Or is he a Mike Vrabel product? That is going to be an interesting thing to follow when it comes to Atlanta. So obviously Arthur Smith in play for this job. And then one more coaching note in the NFL, that the Pittsburgh Steelers have made a change. They have fired their offensive coordinator, Randy Fitchner. That comes to a surprise to a couple people, but not to me, obviously, because somebody had to be the fall guy for their end-of-the-season collapse. And that team absolutely imploded in that first quarter against the Browns on Sunday night. So somebody had to be the fall guy, and their offense really fell apart in the second half of the season. So Fitchner was the fall guy. The offensive line coach got fired too, Sean Surratt. And then the defensive backs coach, Tom Bradley. So they fired 3 coaches, and I'm interested to see who they hire as their offensive coordinator, because obviously Ben Roethlisberger is nearing the end of his career. And they do have some enticing young wide receivers, and James Conner as well. Although I think James Conner's a free agent, so they're going to have to replace him. And they do have some in-house candidates that could step up, like Benny Snell. So an interesting offseason ahead for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in Major League Baseball, big breaking news coming down is that the New York Yankees have re-signed DJ LeMahieu, something they absolutely had to do. it looks like a 5 or a 6 year deal for LeMahieu for the Yankees. This is a move they absolutely had to make. Rather overpay him than let him walk for nothing. He's been their best player the last 2 years, the MVP of the team the last 2 years, and the Yankees would have been not a playoff team without LeMahieu. I'm sorry, if they didn't re-sign LeMahieu and failed to improve their pitching, then they would not even be a playoff team, let alone a contender. So, with this re-signing, I think this makes the Yankees back to being the AL East favorites like they should be. The Rays got rid of Blake Snell, so they're no longer the AL East favorites. So, the Yankees reemerge as the AL East favorites, in my mind, with the re-signing of LeMahieu, and now they have to go out and get a pitcher to really solidify themselves as one of the teams to be in the American League. I don't think they're the team to be in the American League. I think that is the White Sox at the moment. But the Yankees, to me, are now probably the number 2 or number 3 team in the American League, in my opinion, with the re-signing of LeMahieu. They still have work to do. They can use a reliever. They can use a starter. It looks like Masahiro Tanaka might go back to Japan. Maybe Corey Kluber's in play for them. If they re-sign Corey Kluber, that would be a good replacement for Tanaka. Although they better hope he's the Corey Kluber that won Cy Youngs with the Indians, rather than the Corey Kluber we saw last year at the Rangers. So, Corey Kluber would be a risky signing for them, but today all that matters is that their best player from the last 2 seasons is back. And it's just a matter of how long the contract is and for how much. So, like I said, it's a move they had to make. We know they overpaid Garrett Cole last year, but that was a move they had to make too. But this is important too. The rock to their offense, the guy that they absolutely could use when they're in a bases loaded 2 outs in situation with a good pitcher on the mound. LeMahieu would always come through for them. So, like I said, it's a move they had to make, and obviously we'll know more details about this come Monday. And now my best bet of the day, brought to you by FanDuel. There's some interesting things to look at, but my best bet tonight might actually be in hockey, because I don't have anything so special in the NBA or the NHL tonight, so I'm going to take the over 6.5 in the Buffalo-Washington game. Over 6.5 at plus 105. So there you have it. A ballsy pick for best bet at plus money. Over 6.5. Capitals Sabres. So that's it for the show today. I'll be back on Monday recapping everything from the weekend and talking about how much the Yankees re-signed LeMahieu for and any other coaching hires in the NFL. I'll have for you as well as other news and sports and pop culture. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, everyone.